about democracy at home.
For 2 months, the 15 worked as laborers in France and became increasingly disillusioned. William Hayward pulled strings to try and get his units to the front lines, while the regiment's band played concerts for the men to keep up their spirits. One day, a pair of talent scouts looking for entertainment for soldiers on leave heard the play. It was an organization of the very highest quality, led by a conductor of genius.
What's that, motherfucker?
Europe and his men were sent south to arrest him, stopping all along the way to give concerts. But the band relaxed their military reserve and marched into the Memphis Blues. No resistance against the reaction. It's harder for General John Pershing to the rest of the black troops in the French and British continued their desperate pleas for reinforcements.
The 15th New York is American regiment in France. So Pershing loans them to the French. Pershing gives the 15th to the French because he's not giving any white troops to the Allies. He basically says, I'll give you a group that I don't have much use for. This turns out to be a great deal because they're sent to a commander who's used to commanding African and Arab troops. He says, they're black. My Senegalese are black. Okay, let's train them to be soldiers as we would any other soldiers. And so he puts them through a course of training where the action is not too heavy, which you can learn.
For black Americans, immersion in the French army was a disorienting plunge into a new world. Many struggled to understand their French officers, adjusting to new uniforms, new rifles, and the realities of trench warfare. Gradually, his fellow soldiers began to feel more confident. What they couldn't get used to, however, was the way they were treated.
The French soldiers treated our boys with all the courtesy and comradeship that could be expected. You could see them strolling down the road, each hardly able to understand the other, as our boys.
Oh, you got this windows down? Downwards, you can just go down. And then what? Buffering restarts. Like, who knows what the fuck is it? Like,
The French officers had taken our officers and thousands of them.
it's some smart motherfucker.
It wasn't so much that
In
the
Asia,
French were colorblind
in China,
or
oh
universally
yeah,
embraced
why don't we just keep, if it stops,
but for
if it, hey guys, if it stops, let's just have it keep
of
going
different
instead of like
type of racial interaction.
fucking stupid asses and mouths.
Someone once wrote about the etiquette of Jim Crow that, folks didn't think about white supremacy any more than a fish thinks about the wetness of water. The only way that is possible. And then you look around and all of these people in the world working under a different set of rules. It changes people's imagination of what they can do and what everyone else should be doing.
She thanks the man for letting them.
Yeah, so,
The New York 15th journey from Harlem had been an arduous and
yo,
unpredictable
dog.
one. Now, with the help of their French cat, prove themselves on the front lines.
And then I got into the book. Next up, Frank is at Montana. Welcome to the show. Hey, Frank, go ahead. Sorry, like your show, it's a good idea. Fascinating stuff. Yeah, I'm wondering about the possibility of alien invasion of artificial
It's
intelligence.
very, very hard to understand how simply catastrophic and destructive human life, limb, property, everything
Which was written.
more degenerated means you turn on brutal violence. You can't just turn it off.
In its fourth year of young Americans prepared to ship over to France,
Park Ranger. You got
Honestly, I think they would be like either trying to,
it was determined that the cause they were fighting for
or they would at least come down and try to do like how we would with everyone else and say, kind of thing. But then it could be like
what was this?
the movie Mark.
Thing comes that she and her husband
As
are
great as the sacrifice he
We're
was
in an
asking
open
them
marriage,
to make.
although he did not seem to be on board, according to the journal, just to get shot.
On January 6,
Police department.
1918, the president gathered up his notes,
Beg the question,
took to his
can
study,
it still be an open
and
relationship
began
with
work
one
on a
person
small
doesn't
issue.
know they're in an open
Ever since
relationship,
the
and then
outbreak
this
of the
person,
war,
Jim Jones,
he had
I
sought
guess
a
it's that.
visible role for America in the conflict.
No, her legs were wide
He
open.
wanted to advance the nation's strategic and economic interests. But he also imagined a sweeping moral and democratic transformation of the struggle, one that would reshape the post-war world.
By 1917, Wilson knows the American public know how harmful war is. And so he needs to make this a war that will matter, a war that will change the world.
Events in Russia added another dimension to Wilson had formed a new government and vowed to make peace with Germany. They offered the world a vision of socialist equality and an end to the corrupt empires that had oppressed workers.
Speaker and a propagandist as Wilson was,
Fine.
said that we have then built a new world order. This is the end of the divisions among nations. We're going to build a different sense of world. To make the American position very clear and possibly stake out a leadership role for the United States in any peace things to come.
On January 8th, the president traveled down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol. Before a joint session of Congress, he reiterated why he had felt compelled to enter the war. Then, in 14 separate points, he outlined a plan for the war's end. Germany must retreat back to its borders. Freedom of the seas would be restored. Governments were to respect the self-determination of their citizens.
If you're Wilson and you really want to live up to the sloganeering you used in the war, this is not just propaganda. You don't just have to win the war. you have to set up the conditions that would really create that world you were celebrating. You want to make a rule statement. What's the structure? What's the framework? This is a realistic way to go about creating an ideal.
On ABC 15, Chief Investigator Dave Miscavige has discovered Phoenix PD initially closed multiple complaints of what happened.
That America entered war in order to determine the terms of peace.
Going to play it for you. You'll hear the department tell him
It was
that his
reported
is dismissed.
that Wilson felt was to be the keystone of the post-war world,
That's the day.
a league of nations that would arbitrate conflicts between
Phoenix officer Caleb Zimmerman
Believe
on the
nations would be some kind of
was interviewing bakers and trespassed. Tia in the Wall Street Journal is
asking American
Phoenix
people
PD.
to take
The bank apologized. As for Phoenix, we're about to hear a voicemail with the results of Tia's official complaint.
national security and military or international organization. There were people already beginning things as it relates to modern warfare. Just so unimaginably destructive that mankind had to find some other way to resolve these perennial conflicts.
This is really an United States. It's going to be like the players. This is what we're saying we're going to get out there, we're going to get involved. We don't see ourselves as Phoenix in our backyard. We see ourselves as someone who's in the world, helping the world find a better way forward.
The administrative process began on November 28th.
Congress agreed it would. It received glowing reviews and banner headlines across the country.
It's not just Tia.
Around the globe, the response was usually positive. The star of London gushed. Wilson was the greatest American president since Lincoln.
When we look back at claims that this worked and all works, we think that Wilson has been very naive.
Layers of review before an investigation is formally
But
closed.
don't ever articulate that as a national goal.
Not released any on-camera footage. Today, we also heard from the police union. The Phoenix Law Enforcement
I think
Association sent out
Americans believe in Wilson conditions, not because they think it is
standing by their officer and saying he handled himself professionally. And
we all know that America is a nation with interests that sometimes compete with those noble goals. But I think Wilson, almost better than anyone else, articulated that wish, that better hope that Americans have for themselves in the world.
Now, with your novel, let's assume it turns into a series, television series, or one movie, or something like that. Will you have
What's your favorite team of all time? What pick, guys?
the script?
Really? No.
If you've been born, brought up in the
What?
Middle West,
Oh, I've
it's
never
a
seen
thrill
one of their
from
games.
once in a while.
I don't know.
Your
Of course,
first
the closest
sight
to me was Winnipeg.
I'd often stood on top of a hill
Yeah,
at
it's
home
supposed to be.
where I could see fields of corn with the wind blowing over them, stretching miles in every direction.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to wonder if their waves looked anything like the waves of the ocean.
Chia, chia.
I saw now that nothing else in the world looked like it. The largest movement of soldiers across the
And
Atlantic.
the Jets weren't there. They were previously there and they were somewhere else. Close to close.
In just over a year, the United States had recruited, drafted, trained, and equipped over 400,000 men to fight in the Great War. Millions more were on that left his tiny town near the Rio Grande and was now almost 5,000 miles from home.
I am finally in France, heroic
KNS.
I am eager to do my part in the great tragedy.
You're not like KNS.
As the sons of Germany,
I think so.
but we are committed to fight for
No, baby.
The Americans
This bitch
were called doughboys,
is
a
from
slang
Minnesota.
reference to the infantryman's buttons
Leighton
that
Brown.
resembled a dome.
This is St. Cloud, Minnesota. This is it, you fucking douche. Nah, dog. Where can you listen to matter? 1290.
Belted.
Here's top
Pershing
1290.
encouraged the nickname to to give his army a distinctive identity. His
Where
troops
is
liked it too.
The mere arrival of
this is
fresh
Canada?
troops who were healthy, who were well fed, who were well
Really, dog?
who were eager, and most of all, who were marching east
Texas,
instead of retreating west, had a great
I should just look at Winnipeg, Canada radio. What is it? Yo, dog.
We're going to come back in a moment and make some final calls with you and also chat a little bit more about video gaming, which is a huge industry. Back in a moment on Coast to Coast Day.
CJLB?
For Coast Zone, our free email newsletter.
CFR.
Each month, another 200,000 Americans flooded into France. Like John Bartley, few had any idea what awaited them.
I think I would have remembered
I'm feeling better than I ever did in my life. When the war is over and I come back, I will tell you all about France. All about its good wine.
that. It could have been this.
You go into any wine joint
Why?
and get anything from
I've
50-year-old
listened
wine
to
up
him
to
at night.
alcohol.
Just because I get this. If I miss something, I could get
The
it.
soldiers show the French how to drink.
So they don't do it anymore? No, dog. Programming.
Full of swagger and self-confidence at a critical stage.
Coast to coast.
The Germans had gambled that they could prevent the German
Coast to coast
army
and
was
then
able
what?
to transfer more than
I
half
don't know. Something else. Winnipeg.
Washed away during flooding last weekend. News brought to you by Mike. $39 million for Wednesday night. Tonight's numbers are 4, 14, 33, 39, 61, and the Powerball is 3. Southland weather from KFI, sunny tomorrow,
season
highs
troops to the west.
95.3. I'm at
A
Townville.
series of offensives beginning in March 19th.
One of the most famous sneezes of all time. You are so good
German
looking.
forces attacked up and down the western front.
Yeah.
With enemy patrols, testing the strength of the American defenses.
Are you done? My friend Yosh. KFI. Actually, I think it was. It's not even America. It's not even Canada. No, it'd be C something. Fuck. Oh, you thought it was okay. No, dog. It's got to say Winnipeg, dog.
Since their arrival in January,
I don't think they play it on there anymore. Canada.
become a more cohesive regiment. Lieutenant James Europe was cited for bravery after participating in a nighttime raid across the
Radio Winnipeg. Yo, dog, Winnipeg. Where in the fuck was this website? Where did Coast to Coast go? CGLB. It was CGLB. Really? Yeah.
landscape known as no man's land.
You can get it from Omaha and Winnipeg?
In the early morning hours of May 15th,
What should I be buying?
Privates Henry Johnson and Needham Roberts.
It was CJ. Really?
In the dead of night, they heard mysterious sounds,
Sorry, check.
wire cutters. And
Saturday and Sunday now.
that the German raiding party
But makes sense by
was
CJ.
approaching on their position.
Wait,
Johnson
US
and
only now.
Roberts sounded
I know this because a friend posted on Facebook a few radio stations in the USA that you can stream in Canada that carry the show. So I bet they stopped carrying it in Canada.
Henry Johnson
Really? Yeah.
began to fight back. Killing
So
one
they were
German
doing what I
soldier
was doing.
with his rifle at
So
point
they-
and wounding him in the thigh and foot.
And it's probably why they got
Johnson
used so
swung
quickly.
his rifle
When
by
you're
the
like, hey, I
back
got stream.
and clubbed him senseless.
He pulls out this, what he calls a bolo
I
knife,
heard.
which is a heavy two-bladed knife. Another
Yeah,
German
they
comes
should.
in to finish him
But-
off. He rises
Hold
up
on.
with
That
the
was
bolo,
really.
disembowels
I heard
the
didn't have
guy.
it. Wait.
At this
No,
point, he's
I
been
heard it
shot
doesn't
half
have
a
it.
dozen times.
Because that's the special
In
coast to
face,
coast thing.
the arm.
So what is this? Coast to coast is no longer in Canada?
As the Germans retreated, Johnson kept throwing grenades until he passed out from loss of blood. He had been wounded more than 20 times.
They would give up all their.
Mostly from gunshots.
Can they?
When the light
Canada
dawns the following
affiliates?
day, there are half a
I don't
dozen
think they have
corpses
Canada anymore.
of German soldiers and blood trails marking another half dozen wounded. Crawled away.
I'm really surprised at this.
The next morning, a proud William Hayward arranged
Shut
for
the
a
fuck
group of reporters to be escorted to the scene of the fighting.
New Canadian affiliates.
It's the story that is picked up
Vancouver,
by all
Toronto.
of the papers,
Where
black
can I
press
listen to it?
and white press. As a story
This is a good
goes,
website. I've been on this website.
the white press is a little more. Black press, on the other hand, built him up into
Guam.
this superhuman
Look at that.
hero
Oh, United States,
fanatic
Canada,
of all black manhood, all black potential.
Ontario.
Andrew Johnson and Ian Roberts became household names.
None. Wait, what's this Ontario one? There's one. Toronto. 612, man.
They were the war
I don't know
heroes
why.
that Black America had
Unless they have
been
some kind of agreement, we will not
Johnson
replay
and
you.
Roberts are literally the first.
Coast to Coast used to be big in Canada. I mean, look, do Canadian affiliates. But I bet
There's a censorship that prevents the naming of any
they weren't getting
American
any
unit
Coast
or
subscribers.
soldier. But because the 15th
Look, they have
with the French, they don't come under
CFRB,
censorship. And it goes into
CFKR.
the newspapers as the Battle of Henry Johnson. Johnson and
looking
Roberts are awarded
to
the
replace several
Croix
other markets in
by the
Canada.
French Army, which is the highest
There has
military
been a
honor.
switch up.
This is a
CIRH event,
monumental
Vancouver.
event for the morale of the
So,
regiment and also for their
Coast to Coast.
self-confidence.
Big
It
thing.
was proof of
Oh,
what
for
they
sure.
were
So it's
capable
CJOB.
of
So
doing.
we like the Winnipeg Jets.
There
Go
were
to
some bad
CJOB.
dudes, and there's a lot more to come and a lot more that we have to show. Out of all the publicity, the
Is
press
this the one that you
conjured
thought
up
it
a
was?
nickname for the regiment.
Where you
That
were like,
point
ah,
forward,
dog,
the men from New York would be known
Winnipeg Blue
as the Harlem
Bombers.
Hellfighters.
They were the original Winnipeg Jets.
The success
Guys.
was a vindication
And then they
not
moved
only for the New York
to
50,
Glendale.
but for the hopes of African Americans all
Who were
across the
they?
country. Let us, while this war lasts, forget
Arizona.
our special grievances. The activist W.E.B. Du Bois wrote,
So they're the Phoenix Coyotes,
and
and now
close
they're
our
really the
ranks
Arizona
shoulder to
Coyotes?
shoulder with our white
Wait,
fellow
that's a thing?
citizens that are fighting for democracy.
Arizona. Who the fuck is this?
There's a black soldier from Virginia who filled out a survey about his war experience.
Oh, they
after the
became,
fact.
so they
And
they
asked
were
him what the war
a
had
professional
done for
ice
him.
hockey team.
His response was,
And then
I
they became the
have
Coyotes.
world's experience.
But isn't there
He
Winnipeg
had
Jets?
lived his whole life in this corner of coastal
There,
Virginia.
there.
And
They became
being
the
dropped
Coyotes,
into
Florida.
the current of world
Panthers.
events had made him realize he was a global subject.
And then it says the Winnipeg Jets are. Oh my God, it's so
I think
confusing.
his answer
And who were they?
and his experience stands
Oh, they
in
were the
for all
Atlanta
of
Thrashers.
those for whom the war for democracy was really
Whatever the
about
fuck that
defining
was.
what it meant to be an American.
So we like the Winnipeg Jets? Yeah, they have a cool little symbol. Like fucking Canada thing. Maple Leaf. Maple Leafs become big. Maple syrup. Canada become big. Winnipeg. You like Winnipeg? It's nice, man. Jumper's nice. What would be big? Banff? Badass motherfucker. Banff. Banff, a very tough, formerly impressive person. The vulgar slang. That's badass motherfucker.
As Americans
I
were
made that up,
beginning
but I'll
to
give
fight and die in France,
that motherfucker.
the war was also generating
Jack Osborne
casualties
credit
at
for
home.
it. There's a Banff?
An Indiana farmer named James Gepford had to take refuge in the county jail when a mob found out that he had threatened a Liberty Loan Committee at his front door. Adolf Anton, a bartender from Ashland, Wisconsin, was tarred and feathered for his pro-German utterances. A German-American coal miner named Robert Prager was accused by some of his co-workers of being a spy. A mob formed and stripped Prager
Look how
of most of his
beautiful.
clothes, dragged him through
Oh,
the streets,
fuck.
and hanged him to
God
a tree.
damn it. You fuck. Look how
The
beautiful this
Washington
kid's.
Post
Damn,
said
Of the society
Canada?
they lived in and the threat they faced from their neighbors who happen to have German names.
It's in AB, Alberta.
rather than reining in the violence, the
So
federal
that's
government
not
took
Manitoba.
steps that fueled the climate of hysteria sweeping the country. At Wilson's
No.
urging, on May 16,
Maybe.
1918, Congress passed a new law called the Sedition Act
Beautiful.
that made it illegal to say almost
Damn, it's
anything
beautiful. It's
against the
3 hours
United
from LA.
States or its armed forces.
The Espionage Act was considered not even strong enough, so it's
Manitoba.
amended in 1918 with the Sedition Act that basically creates enormous penalties for not only speaking out against the war's effort or obstructing it, but really for criticizing America in almost any way.
So actually,
The maximum sentence was 20 years just for going to
Really?
a bar and grumbling about
Damn,
food
they-
restrictions to somebody who was sitting next to you.
oh, dude, they have 4 points of Canada. Look at all the shit we're learning about Canada, kids.
Wilson had very firm conviction that he was to do everything he could
What
to
about the
protect
Manitoba
his fighting
Moose?
men.
But you suck
That
dick.
meant if anyone was going to say something that might
I want a generator, just like it doesn't like fucking generate like different logos. Really? Yeah. About the premiere of Manitoba. How about Manitoba
very
sucks dick?
severe curtailment of the liberty of individuals.
Canada, Warner
Wilson,
Brothers.
the nation has to be united
They suck.
in order to justify this
Newfies.
possible death sentence.
Newfies are crazy, stupid people. Like if you meet someone in
Price
Canada,
had to be
call them a
paid
Newfie, it'll be
in order for
hilarious.
it to
They'll think it's hilarious. Hey, you Newfie, fuck.
A poet who wrote a satirical piece about the United States was in
No, I
prison
just thought I smelled cigarettes.
when a Bavarian waiter cursed
What
the
do you
slow
call it?
speed of the New York City
What do you call
subway.
it?
He was promptly arrested. The
Saskatchewan,
conductor
isn't
of the
it?
Boston Symphony Orchestra supposedly refused to play the Star-Spangled Banner and found himself in an internment camp. No one was safe from the reach of the new law.
Bigfoot? It's like Saskatchewan.
Even one of the nation's most
I
articulate and
thought.
respected political figures.
Names for yeah,
Devils
dude.
is a symbol of unending opposition to the
Anyway, CJOB.
He gives
Do you
a
think they
speech
really
in
got rid of it?
Canton, Ohio, saying things he'd said before.
Because they do that
But the Justice
thing.
Department decides
thing. We don't want to be on there. They're like,
Wilson
sorry,
denounced the
our
radical
user, our listeners
while
will
the
like it.
flower of American youth
And they'd be
was
like,
pouring
well,
out its blood
It's
to
inside it.
sniping,
And they'd be like, oh, well, fuck you, toasted inside it. We loot this bitch. There's also this, like, really weird website.
Wilson predicts.
So esoteric. It was like, it was the most blank website I think I've ever seen. It was like,
It's Wilson who forgets
but it had all
everything
these
he ever
fucking
believed
coast to
about
coast.
civil liberties.
And you could just listen to it on
Becoming
24/7.
president of Massachusetts.
Sasquatch. That's it.
And
Sasquatch in Saskatchewan. There you go, bitch. Fucking
Wilson was a man who was able to carry
The
two
pizza?
contradictory ideas in
Hey,
his
Dom,
mind at the same time and not go crazy.
you think that
He
guy
absolutely had no qualms
You hate
doing
it.
what he did at home, all while waging a war to make the world safe.
Don't break your phone, dog. Oh my god. Dog. Manitoba
By the late spring
or
of 1918,
GTFO.
General John Pershing's American
Lake
Army
Manitoba. Learn about Lake
grew
Manitoba.
into a force
No, Lake
approaching 1
Manitoba.
million strong.
They need to make a
All the
canal
while, he
between
had
Lake
steadfastly
Winnipeg
refused to
and Lake
allow his men to fight
Winnipeg
under
Coast.
French command. But
And
the
Lake
situation
Manitoba.
on the Western Front threatened to force his hand.
Lake of the Woods. Damn, that shit's right by. We used to know people who would go up there. Really?
French general
They call it some kind of water. Boundary waters?
It would be difficult to imagine a more depressed group of officers, Pershing recalled. They sat through the meal, scarcely speaking a word, as they contemplated what was probably the most serious situation of the war. The German spring offensives had been devastatingly effective. Elite stormtroopers tore through the break, rupturing the stalemate that had existed for years. Now, German troops had advanced into the French capital. Prime Minister Georges Clemenceau made plans to evacuate the government to Bordeaux. Thousands of Parisians fled the capital.
The Germans are bearing down on Paris. I mean, they're within 50 miles. They can hear the guns. They can almost feel the concussion. It's so close. The stakes could not have been higher.
On May 30th, the French commander-in-chief, Philippe Pétain, came to see Pershing. The general guided the American commander to a map.
The water. I'm off the on my home.
Map on the wall and pointed to the town of gave the only answer he got.
Oh, we can't remember.
Events go faster than Pershing expects. Pershing had plans for a lengthy training program for American soldiers. But once the Germans begin their spring offensives towards Paris, he's faced with a choice. Do you let the Germans advance, or do you just start throwing men into battle before you feel they're ready? Because the situation requires you to do that.
I love that dirty.
Pershing committed 56,000 doughboys under French command and rushed them towards the front to save Paris. A weak point in the French line was in danger of giving way. It was centered around an ancient forest near Chateau Thierry that the Americans called Bellevue.
Who was, I mean, aren't they going to talk about Tom Brady is tired?
It was about half the size of New York Central Park.
Is Tom Brady done?
Very twisted growth.
Soldiers moved into Bellewood. They saw
Where's
it
your
was a
joke?
natural
Where are you
fortress
getting
of
Tom
dense
Brady for a
trees and
retirement
rocky
gift?
outcroppings.
Really?
They
Yeah. Why?
fortified it with
Is this
his
funny?
machine gun nests
Where'd you get
and layers of barbed wire.
an air pump and a
One
gun?
American officer remembered the
Tom
wood
Brady's just
as a dark
Tom.
threat, dangerous as a live wire, poisonous with gas, alive with snipers' hands. The French needed to take back the woods. They gave the job to a brigade of the U.S. Marines.
Jesus Christ.
Founded as a fighting force on board naval vessels during the Revolution, the Marine Corps had seen action in almost every American
Oldest
conflict
NFL
since.
MVP at 40, oldest Super Bowl MVP at 43.
The Marines
That
were
was quarterback
conditioned
like
to be very, very hard men to take any,
Tom Brady Peyton, man, it used to be a conversation. It's really not anymore.
to never give up,
Really?
to never retreat. But they were also simply
The
better
greatest
trained
individual
as
NFL
first
rivalry of all time. Magic
Marine
Bird,
units
Ali
rushed into position
Messi,
on the morning of
Ronaldo.
June 2nd
Okay.
along a 4-mile
No.
front with Bellewood
Why?
at its center. French forces were in the midst of a
I guess
full-scale
it's
retreat.
actually in comparison. They don't really do that.
As he passed
Put
by,
two fucking
a
players
French
against
major
each other.
ordered an
Yeah,
American captain to withdraw as well.
why? Because they both look to be really good.
Retreat hell, the captain shot back. We just
Do
got
they?
here.
The way it's like, oh yeah, here's Tom Brady whooping the shit out of Tom Flacco. It's like,
first with farmers fields. And they were all
That would have been
planted
funny.
with wheat.
Funnier would have been, oh, here's Tom Brady whooping the shit out of Jay Cutler. Like, I'm like,
Approach Bellewood.
really? Because Tom
The
Flacco.
Marines had to advance
All
out
right.
in the open
There you go.
to this wheat.
What is Tom Brady up against him? I don't. There need to be a website to do that shit. But, love that dirty one.
An American war correspondent was with the Marines
Brady,
that
the
day.
Patriots, and Broncos.
It was a
Broncos.
beautiful sight, he wrote.
Brady's
These men
11
of
and
ours
6.
going out across those flat
Really?
fields towards the tree
See,
clusters
see, I
beyond
guess
from
you
which the
can post
Germans poured a
Brady
murderous
looks at
machine
it.
gun fire.
Manning in the postseason too.
Rows of Marine
Oh,
men
okay,
struggled
we're
across
yeah.
the field. The
Manning
gunnery
is 1
sergeant
0.
yelled,
They're 2 0 Denver.
"Come on, you
They're
sons
2
of
3 in the
bitches.
11. 2 0.
Do you want to live forever?"
Oh yeah.
Once the Americans gained a
Tom
toehold in
Brady.
the woods,
Hated
the
Manning.
two sides
What would
were
you
seen
rather
to
have on
hammer
your
away at
team?
each other in a murderous
In their
dispute.
heyday? Well, I don't think Tom Brady's that good of a quarterback because I think Mike Vick is like the best kind of quarterback you can
Over the
have.
course of the battle. The fighting was too intense to bring in reinforcements.
I just don't think Mike. I
or
just don't
medical
think Tom Brady's
supplies.
that good of a quarterback. This
Bodies lay
seven
where they
Super
fell,
Bowls, so what?
decomposing in the intense heat.
Really? Yeah, and you're not allowed to touch him. That's right.
Soldiers survived by scavenging food from the
They get
corpses
you get in
and
trouble.
drinking stale beer from dead Germans' canteens.
There was found on the body of one young German soldier a letter to his family in which he said the Americans are insane. They want to kill everything. This perception was absolutely accurate. And they did it. And they did it with guns. They did it with bayonets. They would have done it with their bare hands.
Finally, after
How
3
about you,
weeks
like,
of
Manning?
near
I
constant
don't really give a
combat,
shit about
the
you.
Marines took their
Sucks.
objective. On the morning of June 26,
People are
their
obsessed with
commander
being
received a
quarterbacks.
simple
I want
message.
to see them do normal
Woods
jobs.
now U.S. Marine Corps entirely. Somehow, the Marines at Bellewood had held the line. Now, stopped the
Who has
German
more Super
advance
Bowls?
outside the small town of Chateau Thierry.
Eli has 2. Peyton has 2.
John Barclay and the rest of his 3rd Division were stationed on the southern bank of the Marne River, the last obstacle standing between Paris and the advancing Germans.
Super Bowl 56.
The artillery fire had stopped. The machine guns were still banging away. I consulted my map. And then I knew
That's
where
so
we
weird.
were.
XL1.
Just over
I
that
think they
hill.
should just make Super Bowl
Chateau
50.
Thierry.
Super Bowl 50. Just L.
We started up the hill toward the sound
Or
of
don't
guns.
use Roman numerals and just make it.
For months, I heard, thought,
They love those fucking numerals.
and I hadn't known a damn thing about them. Now it had really begun for me.
This is the crisis moment. The American
Which brother is better?
to stem the German tide in a moment where nobody really knew they could do it.
I am.
The Germans launched a
I'm
massive
the best
offensive
person
along the
ever.
line.
Go fuck
They
your
knew
couch.
they had to get things done very quickly, or else things were going to turn.
Travis memory is an
And
atomic
there's
wedgie.
a
I
ferocity
need that
and
Wikipedia text of wedgie.
desperation in the Germans' attack on that day. It really was do or die.
Elastic overhead. All around wedgie.
On the opposite
Minnesota
bank, the
easiest
Germans
to
were
turn on
swarming.
people. Atomic
Just to
wedgie.
our right, they were
Pick up
forced
so
on
high that
crossing
it
by
goes up,
boats
making
and
it
pontoons.
completely.
Many of them were already on our side of the river.
I'm backwards.
It seemed to me at first that I was the only one firing on that crowd. And then a couple of machine gunners hidden on the slope above me chimed in. One
That's
good
on the
machine
blast
gunner
one
and a
got
sickly
that
one,
wedges.
which seemed not to be
Jesus
working
Christ. Oh my god. Zipline wedgie,
well.
wedgie
The sound
roll,
one was
wedgie
playing
rock,
the
wedgie
Germans
hub.
on far.
But vampire wedgie, utterly
Despite
undefeated.
appalling
Twist
casualties,
wedgie, trash
the
can wedgie,
Germans
Texas
kept coming,
wedgie, Tarzan wedgie.
pushing across the
Swing
river
wedgie,
and
suspended
through the
wedgie,
wheat
sweetie,
fields
clean wedgie.
toward the Allied
Splits
line.
wedgie, shuggy wedgie,
French
slide
forces on
wedgie,
either
side
side of the
wedgie,
Third
short
Division
wedgie,
fell
self
back,
wedgie. Scarecrow
exposing the
wedgie, rowing
American
wedgie,
flags.
southern wedgie, pocket wedgie,
Barclay
pile
and the
driver
rest
wedgie,
refused
permanent
to
wedgie,
retreat.
handsome
They dug
wedgie,
into their
normal
position
wedgie,
and kept
not the
on
layered
firing.
hanging wedgie, sandwich wedgie, banana wedgie, nature wedgie,
I dropped
shitter
down behind
wedgie,
the bank
ice
a
stone
moment
put in
to
there,
pour water from my canteen,
journalistic
open the
wedgie,
gun,
jug
the
live
barrel.
wedgie, jet ski wedgie, tennis
My
ball wedgie,
ammunition
flagpole
was nearly
wedgie,
gone.
aka Patrol wedgie, Fence wedgie, coat, hook wedgie, hang wedgie, grounded wedgie, gag wedgie, frosty wedgie, frontal, aka Melvin, front and back wedgie, front load wedgie, fireman's carry wedgie, dragon wedgie, doorknob wedgie, dizzy wedgie, dangling wedgie, comet wedgie, comet wedgie, chew, tour wedgie, chair wedgie, bra connection wedgie, bouncing wedgie, aka kangaroo wedgie, blast wedgie, backhoe wedgie, atomic wedgie, all around wedgie. Damn, that's a lot of wedgie.
The Allies launched the counteroffensive that drove the Germans back across the Marne.
Ain't never seen a pimp like you before.
For its
6 to 4,
determination,
whatever
the
tickles your
3rd Division
fancy.
earned the
City
nickname
Nancy.
the Rock of the Marne. At Bella Wood, almost 5,000 Marines were killed. Yet 3 weeks of savage fighting imbued them with an aura of tenacity that would become an indelible part of their identity.
Canada really sucks.
The Germans have been fed the lie that the Americans can't fight. So they weren't really prepared for this. And I think from this point on, they have a very different opinion.
What came to be known as the Second Battle of the Marne was a pivotal moment in the Great War.
Sign language.
After weeks of intense
They
fighting,
never have.
thousands of men
They have
from
never
John
attempted to
Marshall's
learn
division
new knowledge
had been killed.
by asking humans or other apes. They don't seem
He
to
had
realize
emerged
that
from the
other
fighting
entities
unhurt,
can know things
but
they
not
don't.
unscathed.
It's a concept that separates mankind.
My birthday is the 28th. I don't know how old I am. I lost my age from. It is very
There's
often
a
that
chance
case.
to the EMs.
A jar of shells and a rum
Violence to
children
Vegas.
changes everything for the man.
Pellsbury Diamonds.
Makes a man look at things.
Violence to Vegas. Fuck your couch. Evian is naive backwards.
Throughout June and July of 1918, the names of thousands of Americans killed in the fighting
I will
began to
husband
appear
fun
in the
conversation
pages of
about
the
that.
nation's newspapers.
Get your ass over
It was the bloody harvest that had so tormented Woodrow Wilson as he led his country into war.
This bitch.
Where a
This
black
bitch couldn't
man
even get me
led
across the
on
room.
with a gold star for each member of the family who has given up his life for the nation. The president knew that many more women would be wearing our
Daryl,
in the months
get
to
the.
come. General John Pershing was out to lead his American troops into the decisive conflict.
Oh, these people suck.
Validate America's place on the battlefield.
Why?
And cement Woodrow Wilson's claims for influencing the No one could have imagined that it would be the
Mic
biggest
drop.
and
And my
deadliest
first
battle
my husband
in
left.
American history.
My second husband is deaf, so it's working. Okay.
Next on American Experience.
This is
You wish
what in the fuck is this?
come out of this nightmare.
Though we won, it had great costs.
The modern version of the United States is out of this war. We can go into this 17
I didn't even know you were playing, dog.
We can come out of it a global superpower.
The great
Yo, dog. STFU.
stop on American Experience.
Yo, dog. No one cares.
American Experience. The great war is again on DVD. Or visit
Should we watch it or? You know, it should be like, dude. You know there was like a thing. There were like guys. And they were like war. There was a thing and it was like called the war, and it would be like, oh, really? Yeah.
To represent him in a copyright infringement case, they can't get a hold of him. The law firm
I love
doesn't wanna work
WGBH.
for West anymore,
I
so
cry
they
over looking at
start
that
gathering
thing.
newspapers to try to get West's attention.
Hey, American Experience, go fuck yourself.
They were granted a motion back in November, so they resorted to the newspaper act to try to vote it.
2 a.m., September 26, 1918. Already the Great War was by far the most most destructive conflict in human history.
Wait.
9 million soldiers were dead and 6 million civilians. President Woodrow Wilson committed his country to this struggle in the belief that the United States could lead the world to a better future. But if Wilson was to shape the peace, American troops would have to play a decisive role in shaping war.
Fundamental point is, how do you get to a position of dominance? The peace treaty, the answer is
What the
through the
fuck
barrel
is
of a gun.
18 months after Wilson had taken his country to war, the United States stood silent and ready along the 20-mile section of the Western Front, known as the Prince Argonne.
What is that? A chupacabra?
Suddenly, the sky overhead seemed to explode, as thousands of artillery pieces opened up at once. The men had never seen anything else.
My God.
That's artillery fired more shells with firepower.
Okay.
3 hours later, the bombardment began. Hundreds of thousands of American soldiers clambered up the sides of their trenches and stumbled forward into the milky fog.
There should just be like a
Carried
carrot
with them the President Wilson's dream of a bright and peaceful future.
on the wrist stop. Jesus Christ, kid. You're stupid. You're just not tin. My mom is a daughter that thinks you're hot. My mom is someone that thinks you're hot.
Imagine yourself
alone,
in
because you have my
1918.
interest.
You wish
Damn,
something
bitch.
good will come out of this nightmare. Something
Teenagers
anything.
that hot. The hottest
There is nobody in the world saying there will be a dawn. We can find peace that happens.
Like 1,000
We can
times.
say that perhaps some of these men died for the future.
9.
And the only person who still says
There's a cut. Really? Yeah, right there. There's edit on.
like Jeremiah.
Stupid ass fuck.
One day we shall see the light of dawn and peace. Right? Don't hurt yourself.
What is this?
People who are looking for some degree of comfort.
Yeah, bitch.
Effectively.
Is that one of those things? Impossible?
Woodrow Wilson had captured the world's imagination in January with his 14 points, a set of proposals that amounted to a framework for an age of peace.
Integrity.
It hadn't ended the war, but it had provided hope to people everywhere.
What up, Prince?
The 14 points were Wilson's creation, and his Committee on Public Information had proclaimed it to the world. The CPI had been created. The German soldiers advancing into Russian towns found walls plastered with Wilson's 14 points, in German as well as Russian. Wilson had become a savior, friend and foe alike.
The claims of the European powers just sounded hollow and bankrupt. And soldiers in the trenches and citizens of other countries stop listening to them, stop believing.
You're gonna love it. Kid, you're gonna love it.
By his peace plan, then indeed they have fought for war to end all wars.
Wilson was in New York City, delivering speech at the Metropolitan Opera House. He hadn't spoken publicly about the war in months. His Wilson walked on stage. Someone hailed him as the greatest president the country ever had. Wilson spoke about the meaning.
Really? Well, they should be.
Like people all over the world, he believed the tragedy of this state could be justified only by a revolution in world affairs. Common people have demanded, Wilson announced, that their governments declare what they are seeking in this world.
You got the whole world, baby.
Their leaders respond only in statesman's terms, in terms of territorial arrangements and divisions of power, and not in terms of justice and mercy.
What was that? What is that doing? They're doing $1,000.
More and more, Wilson was taking on the role of spokesman for the common people of the world. This is a
Here comes baby. Fucking
statesman must follow.
get that fucking power.
Wilson, in a sense, wanted to be president. He had a messianic
I love this
view
story.
of his role in history.
This lady.
He believed that, in effect, he was doing God's work.
Plank.
Verges on his feeling he was in the confidence of God, I think.
Moral
You
authority
guys
is a dangerous position to maintain. It gives the aura of
Surprised
sanctity
you survived that far.
cause of war. And any sanctification of war is balanced.
Well, she said she'd help.
Proclaims it.
She would help. This bitch remember.
Blindfolded. He even hacked the Pentagon on live radio. Yep, we'll talk about that. He's the longest harvester resident of the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake, Illinois, and he's the official winemaker of the luxurious Maxwell Mansion in Wisconsin.
With a party bird from an officer to matters man, up and over the top we went. It was an odd feeling. I didn't see like fear, nor even dread, just wonderment.
So how is America's greatest wine region? Let me get through his mind real quick.
Just 5 months, he jumped off with the first wave of the Meuse-Argonne offensive. Private Ralph John had been working on his family's farm in Natchitoches, South Dakota.
Whip
His
his
training
ass.
consisted of 2 days' practice with shipped out, handed a gas mask, and sent into battle.
But now that everything is open,
Oh,
Ralph John was
That
barely
looks like
trained,
I'm over the car.
but he was
You
a
guys
little
are-
more in depth and
I think I'm gonna
he spent time in South Dakota. So
theater there. I did a couple corporate events in Austin, Texas, and also filmed some content for my friends.
he was a little bit better off than some of the men. Some of the men, others showed up without rifles.
Farmer guy.
Started asking him, "Would you rifle?" And he said,
Oh, dude,
"Go
Prince
over anyway.
drops are
Pick up the
everything.
first one that you see."
I love me some Prince drops like a motherfucker.
A thick white fog seemed to close
How's
in
John
from
got
all
it?
sides. One of John's comrades recalled.
It makes a hole
Isolating
in
our
the
company
fucking thing.
entirely and nullifying all the careful instructions about keeping in touch.
Ben's.
When they entered the woods on the other side of no man's land,
Look at
everything
Ben.
was
The
strangely
Ben's
silent.
thing.
Deeper into the Argonne forest, though, the casualties began to mount.
Look how strong this fucking. I touch
The
the other side.
Argonne forest is a dense tangle. There are ridges and
I'm not
valleys
fucked up
all
yet.
through the forest. Step on solid ground, followed by step sedimentation in slime.
Look how short
Some
that
places
is.
it's impossible to see their edge in any direction. It's almost even trenches everywhere. Sniper nests all over the place. Barbed wire on every step.
Fuck you, bitch.
We crawl. Searching for gun nests, ratting them out. I think start out. Waiting for blood. Just see it drop. The request from we had to go on. Which is commanding officer. Major Charles Wilson was earning the undying respect of his men as they somehow made their objectives day and night. But in a fight that lost over half the men lost probably gone far as every step forward was taking them farther from the rest of the world. When Wilson pointed out the danger to a senior officer on the 2nd of October, the response was like,
Don't worry about your flanks. Means if you get surrounded, tough. And the other part is no retreat. The American Army has to move forward. And if you retreat, you discredit the Army.
all right, I'll attack. You lied. But whether you'll hear from me again, I don't know. We had orders to advance straight north, but we run into fierce machine gun fire in thick woods. Major Wilson and Manchester take it through the night. We knew then. Tires were cut off from all surrounded by the Germans. There were something over 500 men who had become powerless, lost in town. The Argonne Offensive was the culminating event of General John Pershing's life. The map on the wall of his headquarters traced the boundaries of his work. The commander-in-chief of the American Expeditionary Forces marked the slightest change in the front lines and could realize the position of every division. The general left his headquarters near the city and ordered his driver to take him to one of the command posts in his front line. His car was jammed in a landscape of forces, vehicles, artillery, and troops. This was the lifeline of Pershing's life. Almost stopped. The German planes got through. They could cut Pershing faced the biggest crisis of his war.
Pershing wasn't one for showing emotion, and he knew how a commander's presence affected his heart or beating because it'll permeate through the entire army. So he always had to have the American Expeditionary Forces.
What did the 5 fingers say in the face?
The AEF must claim a prominent role in the war, so that the every aspect of national life had been turned to an army that could be controlled. By the fall of 1980, he chose the sector between the Meuse River and the Argonne Forest for his showpiece battle because it offered the best chance of ending the war in one point. That's what the Argonne Offensive was to push forward.
What the fuck's on your face? This game is so sick.
But the defense goes on. At that point, Persian plan called for cut through the defense in just 3 days. Instead of
Fuck
sitting
your pal.
Persian believed his dope had horrendous casualties that Britain and France had suffered.
Persians' attitude is like all time. You know, I mean, with American riflemen and can do in our history, we're going to go in there and we're just going to show the Europeans how it's done.
As Persian would see, his own supply line
USA.
casualties
Nemesis rating points ready. Can they?
every passing hour.
The Germans and real Jones going in the final points.
Soon,
Damn,
Persian
bitch, this girl's so good. How good?
Slowly scrapping the
This
sheep.
was the outcome he had sworn to.
Persian believed that American riflemen would go in with immobile tactics, swarming around pillboxes, knocking them out, moving on to the next line. The Germans, they couldn't get through the first line. U.S. troops were audacious and brave, reckless, some Germans called them, because they ran right into machine gun fire. They assaulted things head on the kind of casualties we suffered in unprecedented history.
By the time Persian reached his former command post, his famous temper was well known. Every commander was put on him. Anyone who did not measure up would be losing. When men run away in front of the enemy, officers stopped them to the point of shooting men down. There would be no hesitation.
Americans had to accustom themselves to the reality. No matter how great the American rifle was, there wasn't to be
That's so big.
kind of weapon that was going to fight. It's the same war, the same bloodbath.
As the American offensive raged in France, civilians on the home front were coming to grips
So
with an
dangerous.
equally deadly
So dangerous.
influenza.
That was
Washington, D.C. suffered so many fatal cases that the authorities closed the public schools. Saloons, churches, and theaters were shut down. Public gatherings were prohibited. For Billy Obear, there was no Obear had moved to Washington 5
I don't
months
want
earlier.
bitch. Hit it.
Back
Fuck
then,
your couch.
time
Now
to
run in the
buy
street, bitch. Bunch of
and
fuckers.
crowded 3 to-a-bed rooms and paid 25
American
cents
porno
to
grabs other
at
people
the
are so
Central
good
High
at
School.
it.
Military policemen with rifles and bayonets guarded the gates of the White House. Soldiers kept watch over the Potomac rail bridges and bunked in tents along the riverbank. Soon after all these men as men to be pitied, the nurses were told.
Look at this kid. He's got his mind in the right place. Get your hand under that kid.
The weapons that had transformed war also produced new types of casualties. Artillery caused 70% of the deaths in the Great War, often simply disintegrating the unit. More common, splinters of steel would
Or
spin
son.
off of both
I'll
lines.
say you motherfucker. I'm not emergency. What was this? What was this?
Amputation was the all-too common result. At Walter Reed, 90%
This
of the
guy's great.
amputees needed re-amputation,
I
cutting off the remnants of limbs that had become
This
infected.
would be cool.
Obear nursed these men as they began once more the long nightmare of convalescence. Many would undergo it 3, 4 or 5 times. Admissions were victims of a terrifying phenomenon called shell shock. Artillery was always a matter of terror. You didn't know what you were facing until the shells started coming in and going off. You didn't know if it was going to blow up on impact or if it was going to explode over your head. You didn't know if it had shrapnel in it. You didn't know if it had poison gas had been introduced by the Germans in 1915, but the Allies quickly caught on, and by 1918 it was
I have so much. Oh, I love you, girl. Bye.
produced horrible wounds. Almost a third of the men in American hospitals were gassed, and their condition was catastrophic.
Mustard gas is the most frightening chemical agent in World War I. It actually will damage the lungs, burn the eyes. Any exposed skin will burn. The most frightening thing about mustard gas is that it can settle into the ground and can last for weeks. In the leaves, the grass, and the doughboys would just run across, not even knowing that there was gas in the area, and they'd release the gas again.
Yo, dog.
That gas was just as toxic and just as effective.
Ready, dog?
Even as Lillian dealt with the flood of wounded men, she began hearing talk of an epidemic that was wreaking havoc.
The influenza virus of 1918 was an H1N1 virus with the capacity to infect and to kill that was unprecedented in modern times. There's no pre-existing immunity to the disease. It's also one that's able to move human to human very quickly.
The flu hit rate, and the war accelerated the spread of the virus by cramming all these soldiers into troop ships and then bringing them back and forth.
Admitted to army hospitals overseas with the flu. Then the disease started cropping up on the home front. Authorities told the public drink water. Swindlers made small fortunes with potions and patent medicines, but nothing stemmed the tide of death.
This was a national catastrophe, and the president doesn't say one thing about it. And part of his reasoning for that was not to create panic. But the other part was that if you start thinking too much about the flu, you're not thinking about the war. Because really containing the influenza epidemic means shutting down factories, shutting down war bond drives, shutting down mobilization. None of that can happen. In the context of the First World War, this is just another tragedy that must be endured.
When Lillian Aubert was assigned to the influenza ward at Walter Reed, the job was as dangerous as any on the front lines. The first flu victim was admitted in mid-September. Soon the ward filled to overflowing. Her patients lived, on average, just 12 days.
People could be perfectly healthy in the morning, start running a fever, their lungs would fill up with fluid, and by nightfall be dead. And there was nothing they could do. This is an era before antibiotics. People don't understand how the flu is being transmitted.
You're literally drowning in your own bodily fluids in some cases, so your extremities are turning purple, your face is turning purple, you may have blood draining from your ears or your nose. It was devastating.
By the 2nd of October, the epidemic was running wild. Coffins piled up in cemeteries. Some victims lay where they died. That was the day Lillian developed a fever. Her suffering was mercifully short. 5 months after she had arrived in Washington, Lillian O'Bear found her final resting place at Arlington National Cemetery.
Attention Bachelor Nation. Fast is the host of some of America's most fast ever.
It had been a long journey from the Mississippi Delta to a field hospital in France.
And now he's telling us
In November 1917, Leroy Johnston had made his way from Phillips County, Arkansas to New York City to join the fabled New York 15, known as the Harlem Hellfighters. He was drawn to a cause every bit as captivating as world peace.
Young black men had been given reason. Framing of it as a war for democracy already makes it a powerful and meaningful moment in the history of African Americans. There's also the example of the Civil War not long before, which was a very different war. But it's a war that African American involvement and African American agitation had turned into a war literally for freedom.
Well, their incredible odyssey. They had spent 191 days under fire and suffered more casualties than any other American regiment. 1,300 of the original 2,000 men had died or been wounded. The regiment had been shattered in the opening days of the Buzardon offensive.
At one point, they're cut off. They're way ahead of their supports. They lose, not got the numbers anymore to get anywhere. They can't even cover the German line in front of them. They're basically shredded.
The Hellfighters were finally relieved on the 1st of October, but not before Johnston was severely wounded. He survived long enough to reach an aid station. Now, for the first time since he had landed in France, Leroy Johnston knew that he would make it back to Arkansas someday. But he couldn't know what he would find there. The war had changed him, changed everything.
The experience of traveling to France for a black Southerner from a rural town was completely mind-blowing. The French.
One of the major themes in the black press had been
Is that
to
a thing?
start the notion that
What the fuck is a
black
Canadian?
soldiers
Is that
were
someone from
racist
America?
men.
Is that like?
There's that great editorial by W.E.B. Du Bois in The Crisis, where he says, "Make way for democracy. We saved it in France, and by the great Jehovah, we will save it in the U.S. or know the reason why."
Knows that there's 60 plus people that think like you do that they bring down. So check it out, ViralRabbi.com/seniors. And if you meet somebody, make sure you have a strong immune system.
HealthyLooking.com and Dr. Alan Millay for
As far as the newspapers were concerned, the American Offensive was a committee on public information. The head of the organization, George Creel, estimated that 20,000 newspaper columns a week were drawn from CBI releases.
Woodrow Wilson, the great Democrat, wanted strict censorship. Creel said that this would be a great mistake. What we have to do instead is supply all of the news. Everything anybody hears about war has to come through the Committee on Public Information. Creel's argument is that I'm giving you all the facts and you are free to reach whatever conclusions you will. But in fact, these were very carefully edited facts.
Creel couldn't hide the war's cost. Casualty lists began filling whole pages of the news day after day. As the losses mounted, the CPI redoubled its efforts to enlist civilians in the war. In the fall of 1918, the CPI put on a traveling war expedition. It was an attempt to bring the war home, emphasizing the sacrifices that soldiers were making for their country. In Chicago, 2 million visitors lined up to see artifacts ranging from Zeppelin wreckage to an Iron Cross nail rod. The highlight was a staged reenactment of trench warfare, complete with a working tank. The truly dedicated could visit the Army mess kitchen, where it was promised meals are served in the same manner and using the same grub as in the fare of the doughboys in trades. Do your part to win the war was the theme of the exposition, as George Creel was doing his best to make it the theme of American life.
Creel was a genuine idealist. He wanted war to be a war of ideas, of ideology. He did not like the idea of we must kill someone. He did not like the idea of if you are disloyal, you should be killed. He thought we should all get along.
Whether Creel liked it or not, there was a darker side to the running of the war. If anyone didn't get in line, there could be serious consequences.
There was a sense that you were being watched. But it wasn't always clear who was watching. Never knew if some magazine that you subscribed to was suddenly going to get you in trouble. Never knew if you sang a German song that your father or grandfather had sung before, that suddenly you were going to end up prosecuted.
See a rash of vigilantism aimed at making sure that anybody who might have any objection to the war does not express it. And it's not now just about
A host of organizations made sure that every American was doing his or her patriotic duty. The American Protective. The Justice Department gave the APL semi-official status by supplying it with armbands and gadgets. The band embarked on illegal searches and seizures, detained and arrested men without charges, intimidated allegedly disloyal Americans, and broke out strikes. In the fall of 1918, they unleashed a series of so-called slacker raids in cities across the country.
they organize slacker raids with the idea of rounding up men who are evading the draft. They fan out across cities, they go to Nickelodeons, they go to movie theaters, they wait at the exit fairs to catch people on their walking home, buses, beaches, pulling in any guy that's not carrying a draft card. These vigilante crews are wandering around just assaulting civilians.
One September morning, 20,000 inmates surrounded the end. Subways, trains, and ferry stations. Then, hundreds of raids across the country. Over 3 days, almost 500,000 men were interrogated and 50,000 arrested. It was the largest police action in the country.
What is work?
The New York raids netted just 199 graduates. Yet President Wilson was satisfied, commenting that the raids would put the fear of God into any potential church. Wilson believes that once you've made a decision, Americans should manage to go along with it. If you oppose it, you are in effect treason. So he calls the great Democrat and one of the most repressive figures in American history. Wilson answered all of this with one objective right now. That is to fight this war.
The military figured players that Americans get to know during the war are carefully selected by the Committee on Public Information. They actually try to censor the information about most soldiers and remove the names using them. So when the name is picked out of the hat, shared with the public, like that's a story that they think Americans will latch on to. Eddie Rickenbach is absolutely a case in point. He is one of the most all-American leaders of the war.
Eddie Rickenbacker had been fighting the odds his whole life. His father died young, so Eddie had to drop out of school in the 7th grade and help feed the family. After working in a foundry, a brewery, a shoe factory, and a monument works, he wound up at the Columbus Industrial Railroad.
And automobile makers wanted cars to race so that they could sell. There's this kid without much to lose and everything to gain.
By the time war broke out, Rickenbacker was a celebrity. He raced in the Indianapolis 500 4 times and ranked 3rd nationally. But he also had an accent and a German name.
Born in the United States, family Caucasian Jewish neighbors, and he grows up with an accent. And when war breaks out, he's actually son of a Jewish race center.
And so it's just like a motherfucker.
27-year-old arranged a meeting at the War Department, determined to prove his
He figures that all his buddies on the racing circuit should be the guys who are going to be pilots of these new airplanes. So he marches into Washington, D.C. He says, I got a plan for you. And they listen to him.
One of them was so dick and then start slapping a motherfucker. And
And they laugh at
who is this? He died. Who?
Rickenbacker is a pilot and was assigned to a fighter squadron in the spring of 1988. It was a dubious prize. He downed his first German airplane on April 27th
NFL
and
MVP.
never looked back.
That's pretty. Alcorn State,
As
baby.
Rickenbacker's score mounted, the public fell in love with him.
Car, gunshot.
These aviators
Oh,
really
damn.
invented the new icon of American man. Ultimately, the old stereotypes of cavalry leaders and chargers and lumberjacks and cowboys gave way to the modern era. And what was that? Well, it was a pilot in his goggles. You see the beginnings of the right stuff right there. American manhood redefined.
A working class hero was a reflection of the changing nature of the air war. Where early pilots had reveled in the image of the gallant, chivalrous airman, Rickenbacker had seen too many friends go down in flames to romanticize combat flying. He called it scientific murder and was constantly refining the kill, never knew what hit a fellow airman. Out of the sun, a quick burst, and gone.
What makes him a great fighter? And maybe it's because he was longer, maybe it's because he had faced death a few times. He had different perspectives. He
So who was the best fighter?
aircraft, and he was going to use it as a tool. It was designed to be.
Who's the best?
When America declared its Air Force consisted of 55 airplanes, 51 of which were obsolete. By the fall of 1918, the United States Air Service comprised 740 frontline aircraft and 200,000 men. Operations were carried out by ever larger formations, coordinated with movements on the ground. Rickenbacker's scientific approach to combat flying was perfectly suited to this new
Why the
era.
fuck is Steve Young coming?
He was promoted to squadron leader, ahead of more senior pilots on the eve of the Meuse-Argonne offensive. To explain, at first
Name
he
another.
was just an uneducated,
Young,
tough bastard who threw his weight around the wrong way.
Rusty
But he developed into the most natural leader
Smith.
I ever saw.
Mahasabad.
When a pilot took command of the squadron, they often lay back, didn't fly as much, were more cautious. Eddie actually flew more when he became the commander of the 94. And I think it was that willingness to tangle, to teach novices, to let them take a kill that he set up, to fly more than anybody, to log more hours, that really made people come to regard him with such honesty.
The enemy to American troops, 24 fighters, on a mission to bring down 2 German observation planes. He assigned 3 planes to shoot down the bombs, while the rest of the group provided cover from carefully designated positions. Rickenbacker flew thousands of feet above and behind the formation, so high that the lack of oxygen left him lightheaded, while the freezing wind was an agony. But from there, he could survey the action like a general behind the lines. As the Americans approached the balloons, Rickenbacker spotted 8 German Fokkers racing in from one direction and 11 from another. Their red paint identified them as the most famous fighter unit of them all, the Flying Circus.
The Red Baron started the Flying Circus. By the time Eddie Rickenbacker and the Americans hit the front line, the Red Baron had already died. He was shot down himself. But all of his flying circus men were a frightening thing to behold. And their Fokkers, all colored in bright scarlet paint.
Rickenbacker became a swirling mass of airplanes, with tracer bullets streaking in all directions. Rickenbacker quickly set the Fokkers on fire and watched as the pilot bailed out.
Who's Fast Eddie?
Moments later, one of his own comrades went down in flames. For him, there was no escape.
World War I, American pilots were not issued parachutes, though very serviceable parachutes existed. But the American headquarters believed that airplane had a moment's notice. This, of course, caused Eddie Rickenbacker to do backflips. He was so angry seeing so many of his men die who could have survived with that.
Each American pilot was left to plan his own death should his plane catch fire. Some carried pistols to shoot themselves. Others preferred to jump. Rickenbacker planned to inhale the flames. He'd heard that shortened the agony. Right now, he wanted milk. He coolly shepherded the group back towards friendly territory until the Germans finally broke off the fight. Eddie's careful planning and cool head
Is considered
had
the ace of
more than a
aces.
match for the
Other working
virtuosity of the
officially
flying
credited as
circus.
80 air combat victories.
His squadron downed 9 enemy aircraft that day,
Ace.
while losing just 2. It was a sign of things to come. As American pilots fought for control of the skies, a very different struggle was unfolding below, in the mud and darkness of the Argonne forest.
You gotta be honest. Well, I will be. Oh, no, I'm going to be honest. I actually,
Reporters were calling them the Lost Battalion. 700 men under Major Charles Winsey, trapped behind enemy lines in a pocket 300.
For a early period, air combat was just being invented, except his co-pilot could shape the battle in the sky, so one guy can change the whole world.
The men were getting weaker and weaker. We robbed the dead men of everything, like food,
And then it
water,
became fighters fire formation, airspeed, and relative.
The terrible thing of all, it seemed to me, was the fact we could do next to nothing for the wounded. Many were almost robbed before they died.
The hillside looked like a butcher shop. There were wounded everywhere. There were dead everywhere. The physical condition of the men was atrocious. The effects of exposure were taking their toll. The men that had been gassed were hard to listen to. Gasping and snuffling in the cool, damp air was very disheartening. The medics had long since run out of anything, and all they could lend now was words of advice.
For 4 days, the Germans had been trying to crush the pocket with mortars, heavy machine guns, and infantry assaults. Through it all, Winsey had kept the force together, but everyone knew that the end was drawing near.
Whittlesey is really the heart and soul of the defense. At least for the men, he never seems to lose his faith that they're going to survive, they're going to make it, they're going to be relieved.
He was in the same mental state as the rest of the men, inside. Outwardly, he never showed one moment of cracking, but inside, his turmoil was considerable. The second he never once let on, and he continued to lead them from the front, and he
Shared kills like a sack. Yeah.
On the afternoon of October 6th, a sentry came running in, his eyes wide with fear.
They looked off to the right flank, and they could see the glow coming through the trees. They just stood with their mouths hanging open, didn't know what to do. They'd never seen it before. It had to be absolutely terrifying.
One of the most terrifying weapons in the zoo during the First World War, the Germans and the French perfected the man-packed flamethrower. You don't want to be burned alive, and so the flamethrower becomes more of a terror weapon than anything else.
For a long moment, the men stood transfixed. Then, an officer started hollering as he fired wildly at the approaching inferno. With that, the spell was broken. The troops began shooting blindly as they listened to the screams of men being incinerated. They were crying and wailing and pushing forward. They actually got up out of their holes and began to give chase to the Germans and push them back. It was almost a controlled riot as they did so. And they let it be known to the Germans it wasn't going to happen this time. As suddenly as it began, the attack was over. The forest was quiet, except for the cries of the wounded and the sounds of survival
As you never did see.
Some of our men are dead, others dying moaning for help. Some are already buried, and others just in pieces. At night, sometimes we would be able to bury a few of them in shallow graves. We just throw dirt over them in their dugout.
That was it. They all knew that if the Germans came at one more time, they would walk right across that rock. And a blanket of despondency had fallen on the hillside. You might hear a lot of rah-rah about the American Army never giving up. No, they hadn't given up, and they were determined to hold the hillside to the last man. But they certainly were happy about it. Major Whittlesey sat staring into space, as weak and hungry as the rest. A soldier crept up to his command post. The captain out on the road wanted to speak with him. Whittlesey stumbled off to see what it was about. It took the others a couple of minutes to figure out what was happening. The stranger was an American officer. The offensive had forced the German line back beyond the Pont. The siege of the Lost Battalion was over.
Early next morning, more men arrived, and the major was right down among his men, doing anything he could for them. It was a happy bunch started the hike back to the rear for me. Boy, did I bite into it. That night, we did have so-called bedding. The nicest part of it all was to be in out of the rain.
The relief of the Lost Battalion kept frontline reporters so busy that they missed another big story entirely. On that same day, just a few miles from the pocket, Corporal Alvin York killed 20 German soldiers and led a whole column of prisoners back into. I hear you've captured the whole damn German army, the general greeted him.
Oh.
York's story received some attention when a magazine published an account soon afterward. But it would become a true national icon years later, when his story became an allegory about fidelity and duty.
Your story.
What made York so fascinating was the fact that he had once been a conscientious objector. This modest Christian had refused to fight until his commanding officer managed to persuade him that the war was just.
Where's the bad guys?
Alvin York is the reluctant warrior. That's what makes his story so compelling. We're reluctant warriors. We like to lead. He's skilled and effective, brave.
Oh, that's the other one.
That's what we want to think about ourselves. We turn to that story to argue wars sometimes need to be fought. That sometimes you have to put your personal objections aside and do what's best for
Where's
you.
your dogfight, man? There's a dogfight. You're triggers to fight Mikey, and then Mikey's just like, fuck you. Oh my god, he hit him. And then I saw Mikey, and then Mikey actually turned out to be like a red bear. He had eaten so much of his fucking pizza when he was like, and he was far natural. Dude, he's took that motherfucker out. That motherfucker. Really? Fucked. You're gonna get fucked. Oh, dog, where are you? No, Ron. Ron,
Fell asleep at his desk. Most disturbing, Pershing's nerves were failing, crying out for his dead wife.
Do whatever you want, man.
My God,
Look at this bitch.
sometimes I don't know how I can go on.
Your dog, sick as shit ever. Kill this bitch.
On the 16th of October,
Yo,
the
I'm a
general
Bob,
gave up his
motherfucker.
favorite man.
Really?
Pershing is still
That's
trying to
accelerator.
recover from the loss
Oh, dog, there you
of
are.
his 3 daughters
Right, dog.
and his wife, who
Where's the
died in
thing?
fire.
Yoshi.
At the same time, Pershing is under immense pressure to
Yoshi.
get results,
This is a big song.
and he is haunted
Drop
by
it.
the casualties.
Just who cares? Aim the
Pershing
target?
halts the
Oh,
offensive,
shit.
which is shocking.
Yeah, dog. I think we
But
fucked.
he had that sense to say,
Oh, dude.
let's give someone else a
Did it
chance
bomb
because
yet?
I am frankly exhausted.
Back to accelerator. What the hell just happened?
It is in a way Pershing's
Yo, dog.
finest hour to recognize his limitations. He steps back from immediate field command. He
Not
splits the army into 2 wings,
Yeah.
lets his field commanders
Where we
deal
going?
with things on the ground.
Switch to bomb mode.
You
Dog,
could
I
say
don't
that it
know
was a
where
sign
we're
of
going.
weakness, where you feel I just can't handle this. I think you could also see it as a sign of strength to know his limitations.
Who loves this band?
He told his other generals, you have to take this to its final conclusion. We need to slug this out.
Come on,
He
bitch.
just wanted to go after
I'm
the
gonna
Germans
fuck
full
you up.
force,
Up,
be as
fuck you.
aggressive as possible. And
Yoshi,
end
watch
this
this.
conflict.
Just drop him like a motherfucker.
The troops were exhausted.
Watch this, Yoshi.
Some units had been bled white.
Oh,
One of
fuck you,
Pershing's
couch.
successors found
Sluts.
a disorganized
Two.
and wrecked army.
Tank production.
But the enemy was still dangerous. It must not be given time to
Run
recover.
up. Alright, get this
As the
bitch
High
right.
Command rearmed and
Right over here.
reorganized,
Who,
the
look who
Doughboys
this is
steeled
right here.
themselves for the next
Right,
phase
all
of the
blues.
offensive.
Why? He. Oh, for this mission, your bombs are unlimited. Oh, dog. Ah, dog. Why? Because I would have fucking been cutting by these motherfuckers.
His friends had celebrated the
Really?
fact
Yeah,
that he would
motherfuckers.
finally enlist in the U.S.
City,
Army.
baby. This be Saigon
That
in your
was the
way into the
joke, at any
netherworld.
rate.
Are you done?
Sullivan Lewis was
Hey,
already
Saigon in
furious.
your way into the netherworld. Are you done?
He'd lied about his age so that
Hey,
they would
dog.
all go in together.
What does 2023 hold? Do you really want to put all your eggs in one basket?
Hey, this whole town is just decimated because you can't drive. Which is actually a true thing. Like, so many people have died because asshole pilots.
14 of
Oh,
them,
sorry,
all full-blood Choctaw Indians, walked to the
Oh,
recruiting station.
sorry, we didn't know.
Item
Really? Oh, yeah, it was a wedding. They were having a wedding, dude. You know, your fucking drone doesn't know the difference between a fucking wedding and, like, I don't know, whatever kind of SOCOM U.S. Navy SEAL mission you're on. Come on, dog. You gotta get to know what these fucking cultures are, dog. Really? Oh, yeah, dog. My friend Yoshi should be like, oh, dog, shut up. Keep editing, dog. He'd be like, oh, dog, that was a good one. He'd be like, oh, man, we're never gonna see him. Oh, dog. Bro, dog. Look at this, dog.
America had really just finally stopped
Like
fighting
that.
the
Like,
Americans in the 1890s, and as a result, they were seen as very formidable warriors. This kind of Indian warrior mythos very much resonated
Did you
not
see
only
it?
with the public, but
Did you
especially
see
with
it?
the military.
Did you see
They
it?
were excited to use the prowess
Are
of
you
Native
done?
American soldiers.
Look at this movie, Yoshi.
By mid-October, Lewis's brigade had taken so many casualties that they were took.
Is it real gold? Fortress. One day you're gonna be able to get real gold out of this. It's gonna be like a dispenser.
Dig in for a couple of days.
I got my quarters for playing. Alright, are you done? Free gold. Oh, dude, free gold. Go for glory. Go for glory. Alright,
Many of the
if
men
you can get a
busied
sick ass
themselves with
plane,
letters.
how about a Fokker? I'd never give it up.
But Lewis didn't
I
have
want this
many to
Fokker, I'm
write.
gonna die in it.
He was
Kids,
an orphan.
if you know
He
anything
married
about
a
me,
girl he met at a football game just before shipping out.
I want to live in a Fokker. I want to die in a Fokker.
He told her
Really?
that he
Meet
wanted
the
someone
Fokker.
to leave his things
You
to
should watch that
if he
one.
got killed.
Oh, look at this one. Yo.
Solomon was talking with two
Oh
friends
shit!
when his
Got
commanding
shot, dog.
officer interrupted.
Dude, what is your problem,
How
man?
many of you Indians talk the same language? He asked.
Hey, Chocoho.
Solomon's
Chocoho.
first thought was that they were in trouble for speaking Choctaw.
Hey, Chocoho.
Back at the
Choctaw.
Armstrong Academy, the
Choctaw.
first word of English
You were making a joke, but then you realized they were really called Spirit. Was it Nicolas Cage who made that movie?
became their
Chocoho.
mother tongue. So he was pleasantly surprised when his CO started asking questions.
Yo, dog, are we shooting? Yo, dog, I think we're out of bullets or something. On this motherfucker. Okay, dog, 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 dog.
The regiment had a problem, and the Choctaw might have the solution.
What was it called? Wind talkers or something?
The Americans knew that the Germans were tapping into their lines because the Germans had been doing it the whole war. Tapping wires was very easy to do, especially at night. They would sneak out there, cut the line, or just listen. So the Germans knew exactly what the Americans were up to.
Within hours, Solomon Lewis and 7 of his friends were assigned to each of the regiment's field headquarters.
What the fuck is that? Is that a Zeppelin?
From that day forward, all of the regiment's important messages were sent over the wires in Choctaw.
Oh, we're gonna die.
When the unit went back into action a few days later, the Germans were caught for the first time completely by surprise.
The Choctaw are able to use their own language in a very effective way to the point where a German POW was captured. Confesses that he had no idea what was going on. He had no idea.
I've extended to all of you now. Again, remember the color that came to you. In a moment, I want you to pay attention to the sound you experience inside your own mind. If you aren't wearing headphones, so you can make this easier.
As far as manpower goes, the British and the French were scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Germans were not far behind. We were just getting started, and we proved in Ozark that we were fighters. We were not going to give up. When the Argonne offensive resumed on November 1st, the fighting was just as savage, and the casualties appalling. But through sheer force of will, the American Army was achieving its mission.
What the Americans did is tie down the Germans, make sure they can't move. The British, French, and American armies keep the pressure on until they bring the Germans to their knees. So it didn't go the way that Pershing wanted it to, but at the strategic level, it accomplished what he needed it to accomplish.
All along the Western Front, the German army was crumbling under the combined weight of British, French, and American assaults.
Yeah, but what was that other one? It was called All You Can Shoot in 30 Seconds.
German soldiers were surrendering by the tens of thousands. And their homeland was collapsing from within. 4 years of war had reduced the population to starvation.
Where are you going?
The economy was bankrupt. Cities on the brink of revolution. America, on the other hand, was just hitting its stride. In late October, the 2 millionth American soldier landed in France with another 250,000
I see your face
arriving
everywhere I go. They even at the picture show. Have you seen that? Have you seen that?
Already 2 million of them in France in the end of 1918. How many will there be by 1920? And the Germans know that they can't match that. It's less the contribution in those final 3 months than it is the sheer spectacle.
The message came through the Swiss negotiations. The program laid down by the President of the United States in his 14 points message and in his address of September 27, 1918.
The Germans ask for these amazing points. They know that the British and the French would seek to crush them. In fact, the Germans almost want to surrender to the Americans rather than to the Allies as a whole. I think the Germans clutched at the idea of Wilson would be neither the British or the French. If they get Wilson to manage the peace, they might not listen to much.
By approaching the integrated rules, a leading role at the outset of the negotiations. On the afternoon of October 22nd, the president met with his cabinet to consider the German offer. Some felt bound to consult the French and British. Wilson disagreed. The peoples of Great Britain and France are with me, he claimed. That
This
is
guy
not
looks like that
that
guy
their
from like
governments are of the same
what's
mind.
that show?
Wilson did have this curious thing where he believed he spoke for the people. And it was never very clearly defined, but if you
He
crossed
looks like
it,
the guy from
he
that
would
show.
say, but I have the voice of the people. I know what the people
What
want.
is the
He
name
kept
of
on
the show,
appealing to
Rabbi?
the opinions
What
of
show have
people
you
around the world.
watched?
A man who became a part of Wilson's cabinet. He was a man of high ideals with no filters. And the way he goes about war just reminds you of that. He took the country over as a socialist power rather than an ally. He said we reserve the right to broker our own.
Wilson sent a note demanding the abdication of the Kaiser and the evacuation of all Allied territories. At the same time, he strong-armed the Allies into accepting the 14 points as the basis of peace negotiations. 2 weeks later, in a rail car outside Paris, the ejected German delegation signed the truce and effective at 11 a.m. on November 11th.
You didn't want to take a shower this house? Why'd you say that you were going to get an invitation? You said that you already left the house. You said you left the house. You have the bag of
Eddie
things. So are you going to
was
the
over no man's land when the armistice
Brown uniform men poured out of the American trenches. Gray green uniforms out of the German. From my observer seat overhead, watch them throw their helmets in the air, discard the guns, wave their hands.
I have a TikTok interview and like the interview police
They all
officer.
up and down in front, groups of men
Let's say this. Let's say
across
Oh,
no
this
man's land. Seconds before they were willing to shoot each other, now they came forward. Hesitantly first, then more quickly. Each group approached the other.
Fuck you. Right.
Suddenly, gray uniforms mixed with
you
brown.
think that that's
I can see them hugging each other,
getting their attention? You think they said that to a kid?
Americans were passing out the cigarettes,
Maybe
shouting
like what else?
You said you said that your attention was there something, but now you say that it's a good thing. Now you say that you said that you were going to close because you were going to take a shower at the kid's house, but then you said that you were going to take a shower at the kid's house. So what did he say? Trying to see if he was actually and then say this or whatever. And then that was it.
of the armistice reached Washington at around 3 By the time the day got underway, practically every city, town, and hamlet in America had erupted in celebration. Ignoring official warnings about the flu, people gathered, embraced strangers, formed spontaneous parades, listened to bands and speeches. In Cloverport, Kentucky, every man, woman, child, and baby in town gathered on Main Street, feeding tin pans, wash tubs, and most anything they could find.
He looks like the guy in Practical Jokers.
The people of
Anybody
Harrisburg,
else?
Pennsylvania, expressed desire for a great religious service of Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, police had to close the saloons at 11 in the morning after a bar brawl got out of control. By nightfall, America was having a party that would be remembered for decades. The celebration. Self-government is notorious throughout the rest of the world, she declared. But here, it is delayed and obstructed by the United States Senate. Yet women's suffrage was gaining converts every day. The president himself had come around. Paul could sense that her victory
Please tell me. Here, let's talk, dude. Let's talk about your toilet bowl cleaner thing. Let's talk about it. There it is. He's got it in the corner. Really? Fine. Fine. Pooping.
Everything which America has fought for has been accomplished, President Wilson proclaimed. Complete victory has brought us not peace alone, but the confident promise of a new day as well, in which justice shall replace force and jealous intrigue among nations.
Yeah.
The triumph of American values. Any of his
Look at
countrymen
mess up.
worried about
I want
the
my
fate of democracy?
bedroom mess up. I'm fucking this couch.
The end of the war does not mean the end of oppression. There's still a lot of pent-up anger among Americans who support the war against us. They are considered dangerous radicals. There was just as much tension
The
about
kid's amazing.
loyalty to loyalty
The
after
kid's
the
amazing.
armistice as it was.
I want the kid to defend me. Really? The kid's got to turn. It's very good.
During the 19 months that the United States was at war, American society had been torn apart by questions of loyalty.
Do you feel like you're
More than
west side of town?
2,000 citizens were prosecuted of enemy aliens.
These two acts really become tools to shut up people more, especially left-wing organizations, socialists, the IWW. Now the government has the legal authority to suppress them, and it uses that at will.
You can't actually measure the impact of wartime repression solely by the number of prosecutions. And they're worth tens. There might be tens, hundreds, thousands of friendly visits by government agents warning someone not to say what they said or write what they wrote. We also need to look at the chilling effect that this repression had on every American.
The silencing of predominantly left-wing opposition came back to haunt Wilson a few days before the end of the war, when his Democrats lost heavily in the midterm elections, handing control of Congress to the Republicans for your sort of peace. Now, any treaty Wilson signed would have to be ratified by a Republican Congress. As Creel pointed out, Wilson had jeopardized his dream through his conduct of the war at home.
George Creel says essentially to Wilson that you destroyed yourself. You were elected by progressives and liberals, and then when those progressives and liberals spoke out against the war, you silenced them, you attacked them, and now when you need them, there's no one left to stand up for you.
Many Americans hoped that Wilson would quickly dismantle the tools of repression and heal the nation's wounds. Instead, the tide of repression quickened. Shortly before the end of the war, the nation's most famous socialist, Eugene Debs, was sentenced to 10 years in prison for having spoken out against the draft a few months earlier.
Debs becomes a symbol for the war's repression, and he also becomes the motivation for movements to pardon him. Not only him, but also other political prisoners, conscientious objectors, and others who were still in jail after the armistice. And Wilson had drawn his line in the sand that he would not pardon Debs.
Conscientious objectors, including Joseph Hoffer, and his two brothers.
And I got 2 out of the 4.
The Huffers were Hutterites. Their faith forbade them from helping the war effort in any way, from even wearing a uniform. They had been taken. 1 week after the armistice, they were taken by train to Leavenworth, Kansas, and marched through the streets. It was almost midnight. We for hours as the temperature dropped to 17 degrees. When they were finally taken inside, they were suspended from the bars of their cells so that their feet barely touched the floor. They were fed only bread and water. Even in the freezing cold, the men chose to remain almost naked rather than wear the military uniforms that were left in their cells.
It's really torture. I think it has to be called that. Even the Secretary of War said that he was uncomfortable with the way they were treated. Nevertheless, he was going to step in and change it.
With news that his brothers, Michael and Joseph, were dying. By the time Joseph's offer died at 8:30 the following morning, to Maria's horror, she saw that the prison guards had dressed Joseph's corpse in the army uniform he had so staunchly refused to wear in life.
The White House says he'll meet with first responders, state and local officials. He'll survey recovery efforts and assess what additional federal support is needed. LA County has captured 33 billion gallons of rainwater. LA Public Works says that's enough to give 316,000 people enough water to live for a year. Southbound weather from KSI, scattered showers, more sunshine by afternoon, highs around 60. Right now, Mission View has 49. It's 43 degrees.
Paris then had a population of about 1 million. The parade just the few miles that Woodrow Wilson traveled as he moved through the streets. Just by the sheer numbers, it was quite simply the greatest march of triumph in the history of man. I'm not forgetting what kind of peace was he bringing the whole world wanted to see.
He was carrying a burden of expectations which no human being can carry. There was this feeling that he's going to set it all right. But what setting it all right meant was very different things for different people.
The armistice with George Clemenceau and British Prime Minister David Lloyd George.
What up, Pim? I was like, man, where's my man? That's how there he is. Hey, Doc, where you been? Oh. Fuck happened here?
Announced in his